It is back to school season, and that means that we are doing the ABCs of retirement income planning for investors with $2 to $5 million. Up first, A for annuities. Now, annuities get a bad rap. They don't deserve all the hate they get. They definitely deserve some. You've probably heard of annuities, and the people who talk about annuities are usually really passionate one way or the other and very polarized. People who want you to buy an annuity are very passionate about you buying an annuity because it tends to pay them really well. And that leads to a lot of the frustration and polarization at the other end of the spectrum from the people who don't want you to buy an annuity, or who want you to get rid of one if you already did buy an annuity, because they talk about the fees and the investment returns aren't as good as you could possibly get. These people have some truth to what they're describing at both ends of the spectrum. The people who are selling annuities, some of the things that they say about them are often really good. They do solve a very unique problem that Americans face when it comes to planning for retirement, and that is, namely, longevity. We don't know how long you're going to live for. So for some people, that can be really upsetting to think about running out of money. It should be upsetting to everybody, but some people have a very visceral reaction to that idea. They don't want to be a burden to a loved one or their children, for that matter. And the idea of running out of money really upsets them to the point where they're willing to do something about it. So when we talk about what annuities are good for, we can talk about things that they accomplish that we can't do on our own. So if you have $2 to $5 million saved for retirement, you have a nice pot of money. And there's all different kinds of ways that we can structure an income that's sustainable for you in retirement using that money and the maybe guaranteed sources of income that you have, like Social Security and pensions. But you shouldn't run out of money barring any crazy lifestyle expenses or imprudent investments. So probably have the option of just living off your investments. And there's ways that we can structure your investments to make them more appropriate to generate income for you in retirement. But if you were the kind of person who didn't want to stomach the risk that your portfolio would decline to a point where your income would be jeopardized or you would run out of money, then an annuity is just a tool for you to address that concern, that you would either run out of money or you would live so long that you would outlive the money you have saved. It's not really just a function of how much you're spending on a month-to-month basis, but also now a function of how long you're around for. That's the longevity risk. And that's where annuities are just a tool in the toolbox to solve for that big unknown, that question mark when it comes to, I don't know how long I'm going to be around for after I've retired. So if we did know that, retirement planning would be so much easier because we would be able to say this many months of income and here's my checkout date when I'm asleep for good. So we don't know that, and that's why we have to be prudent and plan for you to live for a very long time. I typically plan for people to live for at least 100 years. That's my starting point. And then the nuances of your health and family history tend to kind of move that number up or down. But if I don't hear anything that, say, your family tends to drop dead at 60 all of a sudden, and there's a couple generations of that, we're probably going to leave it at 100. Anyway, back to annuities and the role that they can play for investors who have $2 to $5 million saved for retirement. They're, again, a tool in the toolbox when it comes to taking some risk that you don't want off the table, that longevity risk, that is. Research has also shown that people who have guaranteed sources of income, more guaranteed sources of income beyond just Social Security, they tend to be happier and they also tend to spend their money. You might be sitting there thinking, I won't have any trouble spending my money, but that's actually not the way that most people go through their retirement. Once they have maybe at least $1 million to up to a few million, people who have that kind of wealth, it took many decades of diligent savings to generate that kind of savings and investment return in order for them to now finally have this pot of money, and they feel like they can't let it go. They can't touch the principal. So what an annuity does, in addition to solving for the longevity risk that I described earlier, annuities also unlock or maybe unburden people from this idea that they're going to run out of money because they know the annuity will continue to pay them for as long as they're alive. So, from the research, people who have annuities, they're freer to actually spend the money, and that means they get to enjoy it. Whereas people who are relying on their portfolio that has more of a total return approach, where they're just investing and then peeling off a little bit of that money for their paycheck every month, they tend to be more of a hoarder mentality. And what ends up happening is over a very long period of time during a retirement that might be a couple decades long, markets are generally pretty good to people like that, especially after you have a few $1 million of base capital at the beginning of a retirement. You end up dying rich. And that's a tragedy of its own kind. Of course, we're worried about you running out of money. Nobody wants that. But at the same time, we don't want to just have all this money be for somebody else to enjoy. And that's what ends up happening for a lot of folks who have built up this kind of wealth, this $2 to $5 million, and they never get to enjoy it themselves. So an annuity can help solve that issue as well. In this video's description, there will be a link to a retirement income assessment tool that will help you to uncover whether an annuity would be a good fit for your retirement and the income that you're going to need and want in retirement. And if this video was helpful, please like the video, subscribe to my channel, and be sure to take that retirement income assessment tool. It's free and it will help you uncover if something like an annuity is a good fit for you as you start to transition from working to retirement. My name is Brendan Dooley. I'm a retirement income planner and the owner of Meaningful Wealth Management, LLC. I help people take their decades of savings and turn it into a great paycheck in retirement so that they can actually have fun and enjoy their money. If this video was helpful to you, I hope that, again, you will like the video, subscribe to the channel, and be sure to tune in for the next video. Let her be. See you there.